Abby with the Trans Radical Antifa Nation.
Good morning.
So, first off, I get to show off my freaking cool new hair that I love, and I just messed up my hair that I spent like 10 minutes doing. God damn it.
I just woke up like this and finger combed it.
Mood. Also, I got this freaking awesome new dress, and I love it. And it gives me a butt. Hi. Yeah. So, today's topic is going to be on growing up queer. Because for those of you who don't know, Abby and I are both raging fucking queers.
If you couldn't guess by the flannel and the spiked choker. And the hair.
I like spikes.
Spikes are cool.
Leather spikes. With chains. Hi. Hi, Jasmine. Thank you. It's awesome. I love it too. And the back.
Whoosh.
Wish. I'm a mermaid. So yeah, this one is going to be talking about what it's like growing up queer, things Abby and I learned growing up, experiences we had, things we figured out, oh, this is what we definitely should not have done. So yeah. Hello, my sty plays. So before we continue, audio check. How do we sound, little sis?
Are we at least audible?
You have to remember, I'm a boomer. I am not the greatest with technology. It hates me.
And I have a bad habit of mumbling.
Which I love.
But now I am putting on my radio voice.
Which is funny, because his dad was actually a radio host. So, that was funny. We got a lot of our recording equipment from him, and we have no... Well, I have no idea how to use it. Sweet!
Yay!
Okay, so, crap, where do you think we should begin? Oh, we got a cat. But yeah, where do you think we should begin?
Which cat?
Anna. She just ran under my bed.
Ah, I was like, where? Cat?
So, where do you think we should begin?
Honestly, I think beginning at the beginning is good.
Okay, so it all started on the day I was born.
When did you first realize, wait a minute, I am not normal, given value of normal.
Begin with cat.
Begin with cat. Always begin with cat. I love cats.
We love cats.
I always have cats.
Cool. So, when I first realized I was definitely not straight, at least, I was a youngin'. I was living in my little family cult, and I was having thoughts about men, thinking, oh wow, that boy is cute. Man, I really hope he notices me. Wait, these are the same thoughts I have whenever I have a crush on a girl. Do I have a crush on a guy? Oh no. I must be one of those evil, I'm not going to use the slurs that my grandpa used, but I must be one of them.
One of them gays.
Yep, and I had a lot of bad thoughts, like, oh god, I'm going to hell. Oh god, I'm evil. Oh god, I must have been... Yeah. Because that's what I was taught, was that if you were LGBT, it's either because you were sexually abused, or because you are possessed by demons or corrupted by LGBT people. Which all three of those are ironic as hell for me, considering the person who taught me that. Yeah. Hey, Gray. But yeah, I had a lot of those thoughts, and that pushed me hard into the indoctrination, because I was like, oh, if I repent hard, if I pray hard enough, I won't be gay, I'll still get to go to heaven, blah blah blah, this must be a test from God. And then as I got older and stuff like that, I kind of started to realize, oh, it's fine that I have these thoughts about guys and girls. Guys and girls are both very freaking good. God, they're good.
They're good.
God, they're nice. Hi.
I'm coming from an Arrow Ace perspective where I'm just like, people are cool. Some people suck, but a lot of people don't.
Right?
Or at least if they do suck, the suck is outweighed by the cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's Anna again. She's sneaking back in.
Hi, Anna.
Hey, baby. Wow.
What about you, Abby? When did you realize you weren't heterosexual?
First time I kissed a girl.
Did you like it? Did she taste like cherry chapstick?
No, it was like very closed mouth, extremely closed mouth because like, yes, when girls, but like it was like, I was like 10 or 11 or something, so it was like very much like the experimental like, no idea, and I was like, later I was like, do I have a realization I need to make? Probably. I'm not going to. I just decided to ignore it.
Me with being trans.
I was like, I could deal with this later. And then, like, because I joke, especially before I started transition and came out as transmasculine, that I was a lesbian for like a month when puberty started, and then it left. Because, like, after that friend breakup, because that was truly what it was a friend breakup. I didn't really have any interest in other people. And, like, so my label has changed over time. Like, I've thought, maybe I'm demi, yada yada. And I've just kind of realized at this point, no, I'm ace, maybe had a little fluctuation when I was a kid. which is totally natural. It happens.
And it's valid. It's okay for your sexuality to change over time.
No. There's, like, later forays into attempting to, like, date didn't work.
Yeah.
Like, one, the abusive ex I've talked about, he was a jerk, but also, like, for a while I had a dating profile that was, like, mostly for just making friends. But, like, I did, talk to a couple people that I was, like, that were, like, interesting. I wouldn't mind going on a date with them. But then there was just kind of nothing. It was just like, oh, interesting person. Okay.
Yeah. And they never seem to get the idea in their head that you're not out there looking for sex or romance.
Right. Nobody, like, understands that, like, I'm just wanting to interact with people. That's just kind of what I want to do, is talk to people.
Right?
Though, this is a warning from me to you. If you meet somebody and you immediately start disclosing your entire tragic backstory, it's either a red flag for you, of you need to chill, or a red flag of them, of what are they putting out there that I am immediately telling them everything. Because that's not always a good thing.
Yeah.
Some ex-friends of ours who, like, upon meeting them, like, almost immediately, I was like, here's my, like, sexual gender identity and my tragic backstory. And they turned out just to be, like...
abusers.
Yeah. Emotional vampires.
Yeah. We will talk about that later on in this stream.
That's a much later time.
And it actually does tie into growing up queer because of some things that I'll bring up in here in a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, just a reminder that this is all stream of consciousness. This is not scripted.
Yeah.
So Abby, when did you realize you were not cis?
So the biggest thing, and I'm gonna have to editorialize a bit because this is a for all stream. When puberty hit, I'll keep it vague about that, and I realized I was missing something that, like, my body or my mind was very convinced I should have. And then, like, I started growing boobs, and my brain was like, "You're not supposed to have those." Which was funny at first, because, like, I was kind of proud of, like, getting a bigger chest, because, like, I had a friend at the time who was like, I've got such beautiful boobs. And so it's like, I kind of want her to shut up for 5 minutes about that. And so, like, I was kind of at first like, this weird one-upmanship about it, and then like later I was like, oh, this is actually not great. This is actually not good. This is what I get for being petty.
Damn it, God.
But like just like experimentation and like looking at myself and thinking about myself, I was just like, something's off. Some things are not there. Some things are there that shouldn't be. Because like my mind has a map of what it thinks my body should look like. And the body not reflecting this at all was not great. Especially because like I was already super depressed at that point. Well, you know, one, that friend breakup, and two, like, being a 12-year-old is hard.
Especially in an abusive home.
Yeah. And it's like, a lot of people are like, oh, preteens and teens are so dramatic. No, it's hard to be a teenager.
As someone who wanted to be an educator, who wanted to be a history teacher, as well as someone who loves taking care of children, I've always wanted to be a mom. I know that's not going to happen, because I've purposely made myself, you know... Oh, thank you, Gray. Abby dyed it for me. I have never met a child or a teenager that honestly gave me any trouble at all. And I attribute the reason why that is to the fact that I humanize them. I don't sit here and think, wow, they're stupid, they don't know what they're talking about, blah, blah, blah. It's, oh, they have emotions, feelings, wants, and everything else. But they're too young and inexperienced yet to know how to get it, to know the consequences, to know how to phrase it correctly, to have the words that they need to really communicate themselves, and so on and so forth.
And there's the very literal fact that when you're a teenager, your brain is not done.
Right?
Your brain is still developing. Your frontal lobe, that part that tells you what consequences are and helps you plan ahead, is just unfinished. And it's not teenagers' fault if they're impulsive. I mean, they can, you know, obviously deal with it and find workarounds, of course, but like, people need to be kinder to teenagers.
Very.
Isn't that right, Anna?
But yeah, I've never had a problem with children or teens by just treating them like humans and showing them the patience and giving them the words they need to communicate. I mean, hell, whenever I was taking care of my nieces whenever I was a teen, like, oh, you're throwing a hissy fit and a tantrum, I'm gonna sit down in the middle of the store instead of dragging you out, and I'm gonna sit here and talk to you and give you the words and patience you need to get things figured out. Oh, people are staring at us? They can fuck off. Excuse my language. You're my priority, not them. They can take care of themselves. And wouldn't you know it, a few months later, whenever I was around, they never had tantrums. It got to the point where, like, whenever there were family events, or something was gonna happen or something like that, my family would ask me to be present simply so they would not have tantrums and stuff. Just because the kids knew, oh, we have a problem, let's go to Bryn, she'll help us. And wouldn't you know it, it was a lot freaking easier. I never had to coerce them into anything. It was like, hey, do your teeth. I don't like it. Why? Because of X reason? Okay, let's change it up.
Here's a Y solution.
Cool. Right? It's freaking... Do what I say! No, that's stupid.
It's rude.
Right?
You wouldn't talk to another person like that.
Right.
Why would you talk to a kid like that?
It's like me at work. You know, if some random person that I'm working with just rolls up and says, hey, do this. Unless I have a lot of respect and trust for you, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to ask you to explain to me why I need to do this, the consequences of it, and then I'll decide for myself, do I want to do that? Do I want to face the consequences of not doing it? And I will pick.
And then, like,
We've got off on a tangent.
Yeah. Because I think it does all connect, because, like, the emotional volatility and the disrespect with which teenagers are met plays into a lot of, like, our development of, like, second-guessing ourselves a lot. And, like, being for a lot of queer folk, uh, this imposter syndrome of like I'm not really X queer thing because like you in your formative years when you're figuring all this stuff out, everybody, all of the adults are just like, you're too stupid to know what you're talking about. You're too
Right.
young, you're too stupid. And then you hit your 20s and you're finally like allowed to say you know what you want. For the most part, that there's still some things you aren't allowed to know about yourself at 20.
And they claim, oh, there were never any signs.
No. No, they're never sides. Or you're too old to transition. Or you're too old to know now.
I started transition at 26. I was 300 plus pounds with a giant beard. Just saying, you're not too old.
No.
And this is me after 8-9 months. Like, I look like a totally different person.
Like, when I was in college, I took sociology. This relates to it because, like, we had a particular, like, time where the teacher brought in a bunch of guest speakers to talk about different life experiences. One of these lectures was with two trans women, and the younger one, and I say younger one, they were both like one was 50 and one was like almost 70. I think I can't age his, but she before transitioning had been a prolific weightlifter, wrestler, like, and she was obviously far enough and more confident enough in her transition and in who she was to like pass around pictures of what she used to look like, and she was, you know, McLarge huge. But like when I see her, like, and she thought she didn't pass very well. I only guessed like, oh, this must be the transgender speaker because it was the speaker we hadn't had. Because like, unless you're like examining for clues and she looked like a cis woman to me. Like, nothing about her would have been like, to me, would have been like, wait a minute. But partially because I don't care enough, but like to look about that stuff. Like, I'm like, if someone is obviously trying to perform womanhood, I'm gonna be like, she.
Right. So, to kind of rein everything back in, whenever I realized I wasn't cis, well, let me rephrase that. Whenever I realized that I would prefer to be a woman over a guy, I think it was in kindergarten, or a little bit before that, because my first real experience with transphobia was in kindergarten, directed towards me. I didn't really have friends up until I met Abby, and I'm not saying that for sympathy points. I was in a very, very bad situation in a very, very bad town, and my family was very bad people, so people would take it out on me. And a lot of people just were not allowed to talk to me. Like, kids would get in trouble if their parents found out they had spoken to me. Yay, conservative South. But I remember saying to a couple of my friends at the time, I really wish I was a woman. I'm really sad and depressed that I'm not one. Or lines thereabouts. And their response was to belittle me, say that, oh, we figured you were a fucking queer. Only they didn't say queer.
A different word that's been used as a slur for a long time, but we haven't yet fully reclaimed.
Right? In addition to that, they mocked me for it, said all kinds of hurtful things. They went on a tirade about how terrible it is to be a woman, and how the only reason I would want to be one is because of crazy sexist ideals. And that pushed me pretty hard back into the closet for a very long time.
Put some chains on there, a couple of deadbolts.
Yeah. So I kind of just repressed my, damn, I want to be a girl for a long time. up until I met Abby, and Abby revealed to me that he was trans. Now, before I met Abby, I didn't have a word for it. I just knew that I would prefer to be a girl. Michael, out from under my desk.
Buddy, you don't belong down there.
You're gonna unplug my cords.
Okay.
We good.
We good. He didn't unplug it.
Cool. I have a water bottle somewhere for squirting them whenever they get down there. I think it might be under the blanket.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't really make my bed in the morning because I'm just going to crawl back into it, and I like it being messy whenever I crawl in, so.
It's the Bryn nest.
Yeah. So, where was I at? Right, discovering you were trans. Before I met Abby, I didn't really have a word for it. I just knew, man, I really want to be a girl. And a large part of me coming to terms with my sexuality was actually me coming to terms with Abby's gender identity and sexuality. Because I had to learn to accept him because I loved him and I wanted to be in his life. He was, is, and will forever be my best friend, as well as my platonic life partner. I mean, we bought a freaking house together. I'm not leaving him.
Yeah. I think, like, the funniest thing was, like, at that time I thought I was bi. Like I said, I've been through a lot of labels trying to figure out which one fit. And I used bi because I was dating at the time. I was dating that abusive ex. And, like, I just casually mentioned it one day at lunch. And, like, no, I forgot I had not apparently told anybody. And so, like, everyone was kind of weirded out, but I was just, like, eating my sandwich, like, what? I don't thought I told you guys.
Yeah, and then there's me sitting across the table. Wait, you can do that? But yeah, after I kind of accepted Abby for being trans and his sexual identity, I started to come to terms with my own. And basically, I sat down and I thought hard, what do I want to be? I want to be a girl, but clearly I'm never gonna pass. Look at how big I am, look at all this other stuff. And then in my efforts to support Abby, I went down a huge transmedicalist rabbit hole. If not for transmedicalists, I honestly probably would have pursued transition much, much earlier. But due to things that I believed after falling down that rabbit hole, I didn't pursue transition, and I regret it greatly. I am so much freaking happier now. Like, life's good, y'all.
Like, it parallel to this, I was, like, getting really into Tumblr. And I felt, like I've mentioned a lot of times, because every time I say I got into Tumblr, I have to preface it with this, or, like, add this. Mike, thank you. That the original people I followed were a bunch of adults in their 30s and 40s who were already done with everybody. And we're just like, we've been through this before. We've been through this crap before. Let people be people. And, like, so I was going through the opposite, where it was like, they're like, transmedicalism, screw that. If you say you're trans, I'm gonna believe you, because you know what's going on in your head better than anybody else. And so it was just like, I didn't realize that Bryn was falling down the transmedicalism rabbit hole.
Yeah. But yeah, I fell down the transmedicalism rabbit hole because, for me, where my dysphoria lay was not between my legs. It was between my lack of chest, my lack of feminine features, my size, the expectations placed upon me for being a guy. Can you put your leg... I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, my dysphoria didn't lay in what was between my legs. It was in the fact that I wasn't perceived, treated, or looked like a woman. And that's what I felt like I should look like, and what I wanted to look like, and how I wanted to be treated. Not that I wanted all these sexist stereotypes labeled on me, but more that I wanted people to say ma'am instead of sir. I wanted to be seen and have the same, yeah, as a woman. I don't even know what word I'm looking for, because I'm still a little inexperienced, because we're all growing. I prefer mom, but you can call me grandma if that's what gets you going.
Also, like, both of us have arthritis.
Yeah, I have early onset arthritis. I had to take arthritis pills at like fucking 15. You remember that?
Yeah.
That was fun times.
One day they're just gonna be like, you're gonna get your spine x-ray, and they're gonna be like,
Yeah.
you just need all of the cortisone.
Which is funny, because like my arthritis has been way less severe since I started estrogen. It's great. So, yeah, that's whenever I started falling down the transmedicalist rabbit hole. And, thank you, Evie. But, yeah, after a while, it was actually during the COVID pandemic. Because some of you may not know, but I am a frontline medical worker. I work in OR. I am a OR attendant, as well as a anesthesia supply tech. Yeah. And it's not uncommon for me to interact with patients as soon as they enter the hospital. Or, yeah. I have bad lungs. I can die easily. If I get COVID, I'm gonna die. And I'm sitting at home. They furloughed me so that I wouldn't be on the front line, and I would just draw unemployment for a bit. And while I'm sitting at home, I'm having all these thoughts, and a large part of why I had never transitioned was because part of the transmedicalist rabbit hole I fell down was a lot of their BS about, like, oh, certain things never change even with surgery. So if you have these looks and whatnot, there's no point in pursuing transition. And so due to my face shape, body shape, etc., that's another reason I hadn't pursued transition at the time. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I could die from this. In fact, there's a good chance I'm going to die from this. Because I live in the hyper-conservative South, no one here wants to wear a mask, no one here wants to get vaccinated. And even at my work, where we have had nurses die from COVID, we have watched our patients die from COVID, we still have nurses and doctors and anesthesiologists and so many other people who organized a protest the other day because the hospital we work at is making vaccines mandatory and is making us wear masks around each other again. Fuck you, Karen. I want to get back to normal. I'm tired of seeing people die. I am tired of being traumatized.
And honestly, it's not that difficult to wear the mask. But I'm tired of it! Let me, y'all, will you just please wear it for a little bit? I've had to wear it for almost 2 years now. Will y'all wear it for a little bit so this entire thing can die out, we can be healthy again, so I can go back to just breathing.
Right? Times like this, yeah. Yeah. But, yeah, I was sitting at home having these thoughts about how likely it is I'm probably gonna die, and how I would die a guy. Not just any guy, but my legacy would be, does everyone remember Dead Name? He was such a good bouncer/security person. I always loved the way he would just throw things around because of how big he was, and he would just pick up 100+ pounds worth of stuff while he was walking so that other people didn't have to put in the effort. And I didn't want to go down like that. I'm okay with being buff, okay? I got a freaking date friend now, and she is freaking cute. I am going to pick her up and toss her up on my shoulder and spin her around. Okay? Nothing is stopping me from doing that. Period. But I'm not going down as some big burly buff guy. I'm going to go down as the freaking Amazonian Valkyrie that I freaking am. And if you got a problem with that, you can fight me.
You'd probably lose, because When Bryn enters a fight, she has nothing to lose. There's a manic gleam in her eye and a Joker laugh in her throat.
I laugh when I get nervous. And I get very nervous in a fight. Yeah. It's actually gotten me out of a lot of fights, which is really funny. Just this person who's way bigger than me marching up to me making threats. Me nervous and my fucking pseudo-military cult personality popping out like, okay, all that matters right now is winning. What is winning in this case? Ensuring they don't attack me a second time. Okay, what's the most efficient way to do that? And so I'm sitting there, sizing them up, walking towards them, because I know they can outrun me while laughing manically, the whole time thinking, I'm about to die. This is not a flex, okay? I am not nearly... I wear these spikes because I'm afraid and I'm like a porcupine.
Just gonna shoot those spikes out when you're threatened.
But at the same time, like, it has gotten me out of fights. Just laughing in the weird way I do whenever I'm really nervous.
Or sometimes, like, when people are being road ragey and then, like, she parks and then they come around to her window, like, and she's just like, what can I do for you? And they're like, nothing, bye.
Right? Anyway, so yeah, I decided to pursue transition because I wasn't going to die in a way that I didn't want. You know, I want to go down fighting. I don't ever want to just be killed. I want to go out fighting. If I'm cornered and Nazis are chasing me down because I'm a queer, and they have guns, I'm going to be running at them full tilt to try and tackle one of them to the ground. You know, because maybe if I break one of their bones, it'll give someone else a better chance to escape or something. I don't know.
And then you get sent to Valhalla and can tell Odin the story.
Right? And I can drink a ton of freaking mead. But yeah. And I'm happy I decided to. I felt like such an imposter and all this other stuff when I started, and I honestly almost stopped. Because I had a whole bunch of transmedicalists dox me, create multiple Reddit threads about me, message me over Facebook, Reddit, Discord. Like, I got a lot of hate. People drug up super old pictures of me from Facebook, posted them all online, and is like, look at her, look at how pretty she is, and all this other stuff, trying to trigger me, creating all these posts about how I'd never pass, how I'm stealing medicine from other transgender people, how I'm making a mockery of transgenderism as if it's some kind of religion, you know, all this crazy BS. Fan behavior. No, honey. Fan behavior is whenever I have someone online make fan art of me and I get to add it to my folder, which currently has 8 pictures. And I make it my Discord profile picture because I like looking at it and it makes me feel loved.
And then there's the TERFs that, like,
yeah.
that after the transmedicalists died down, there came the TERFs.
Yep. If I had been younger when I went through all that, I don't know how I would have reacted. I was very suicidal in my early 20s. And honestly, I think that waiting till now may have saved me if going through all that stuff is what I would have gone through, because I don't know if I would have been able to handle it. And that's another reason I wanted to make sure that the Tran is very openly anti-transmedicalist, because if anyone on there, I'm working on something now, so oh my god, Evie, I love you. But I want to make sure that the Tran is very clearly anti-transmedicalist. Not, oh, we don't believe in transmedicalism. No, anti-transmedicalist. If you believe in transmedicalist BS, you are stupid, and you don't have a place in Tran.
Open your mind.
Because I want to make sure that those in Tran, if they do decide to pursue transition at early ages, such as teenage years, early 20s, whatever works for them, whatever is best for them, I want them to have the love and support that I never had. That way they can pursue it safely, and they have an entire freaking army of people who have their back. Because y'all are fucking beautiful. And y'all deserve better than I had. Abby, why did you decide to start pursuing transition?
Uh,
Oh, rip.
Mine was also a grappling with mortality, but in a different way. Uh, because it wasn't necessarily like I thought I was going to die. It was, or maybe the phrasing like that is even wrong. It's because my dad was about to die. I'd been thinking about going on to T like on and off for several years at this point, and I'd always been kind of scared away. One, because I don't like dealing with doctors; they scare me, and two, like I would hear like some things about like potentially bad side effects. For example, like I have very bad period cramps, and people were like, "Oh, testosterone is going to make those worse," and it turns out wrong. It got rid of them. No more periods. Only the occasional cramp. But just sometimes, because the muscles down there are weak. Sometimes it does that. But, my dad went from healthy, or, like, I thought he was healthy, just like a smoker and a drinker, but, relatively healthy, to in a hospital bed in a coma within, like, a month. And, I had kind of he was not a great dad when I was a kid, but he got better as an adult. Like we would actually have interesting conversations, and while sometimes he would say something so stupid that I would have to call somebody at Lear and be like, okay, here's some dumb bull my dad just said. But he became a better person after I was no longer a child, and he, through shenaniganery, figured out that I was trans. I never came out to him and we never actually talked about it, but he knew, and he knew I knew. But so we just talk about it obliquely. In terms of I accept you no matter what, right? Kind of thing. And when I realized how sick he was, at the time before he actually went into the coma, I thought, right, a little bit, I thought he was going to get better. Because, again, it all happened so fast, I assumed that, the doctors were going to pump him full of painkillers and fluids, and he'd, last a little bit longer. And so I thought, I wanted to go on testosterone because I, one, life is short, and two, I realized my dad was probably never going to know a happy me. Because, again, I have not been happy, I'd not been truly happy since I was, 10 or 11. Depression hit me hard and hit me fast. And not just because of the trans stuff. There's a bunch of other extenuating circumstances. But the trans stuff, was the solvable problem. And, I kind of realized I wanted other people to know me and know who I am. And I wanted to be happy. And so I went to the doctor to see about it for the first time, and I got prescribed right before he died. But I wasn't able to get taught how to actually take it until after he'd already passed, because again that happened just that quick. And it was for the first couple of months after when I was on testosterone. So all of this is happening. My mental health is in the toilet. But at the same time, I'm starting to feel this sense of euphoria. It's almost a manic euphoria, kind of in the background of when you have a complete breakdown and you just start laughing at some point. Yes, they are very cute. They are very helpful. Honestly, cats have gotten me through a lot of things. But testosterone makes you very angry and emotional, but in a very different way to the way that estrogen makes you weepy and emotional. And So, like, for the first couple of months, I was just crazy. Like, crazy affectionate. Like,
In a good way.
in a good way, but, like, I was, like, not in a great environment, like, in many respects. And, like, partly literally, because we were at that time, that was when we were in a very rundown apartment with the staff would never actually answer any maintenance requests. It was covered in mold.
We had a giant hole in our roof.
Yeah, it was bad.
And then whenever we tried to make them fix it, they tried to evict us.
They were like, you have to give us $50 for replacing the blinds. It's like, you didn't have to replace the blinds. We wanted you to fix the hole in the roof.
Yeah.
And it was, and then at the same time, we were dealing with another friend breakup because, like, friends come and go, and when there's a lot of big personalities involved, they go with passion.
Yep.
And, like, you know, in hindsight, we could have done, like, things to, like, not made it as crazy. Like, I did, like, especially me, I needed to take a chill pill. And a lot of things. But, after, like, the first bit, after I got over, like, or not got over, but got through, like, the worst of, like, the life shit that was going on, excuse my language, but it needed that. It kind of, like, was like, oh, this is what that's supposed to feel like. Awesome. Nice. Okay, cool.
I will say that the first time... Oh, there it goes. The first time he really felt and was able to express anger without having to bottle it up, without having to be like, oh no, that's terrible, I'm gonna go cry. Like, the first time he actually let it out as anger instead of tears. Y'all, I thought he could move mountains, literally. It was like, okay, this is God incarnate, oh crap.
I did punch a shower, but that was landlord crap too. Our landlord sucked.
Yeah, they did.
And then they never gave us our deposit back, they never gave us an itemized list.
Yeah,
Which they were by law required to do, but we're broke, so we never contacted a lawyer about that. Let's go. But, and then, like, almost immediately after I gained this sense of chill, the lease is over, and now I have to live with my mother for a few months. And I've talked a bit about my mom being crazy. She's, like, not literally in the sense that I was, where it was like, okay, a therapist should probably be intervening at this point, which she did. My therapist is great. But in the sense of, like, ma'am, what is going on inside of your head? Ma'am? That's my mom. It's just eternally like, what are you doing, ma'am? What? Why? Why are you like this? But it's more aggravating and confusing than anything. So that was also not great. But I really feel like being on testosterone helped me a lot in that instance. Because, like, again, I'd finally discovered my chill and also been able to express anger without it turning into weeping. Because that's a thing, like, I was never taught how to deal with anger. Especially my mother, when I was a kid, my parents' default response to, oh, Abby's having an emotion, is, no, you're not. No more emotion. Don't do it anymore. Only happy or nothing else.
Which is stupid.
Or cry alone in your room. They would allow me to cry alone in my room. That was the extent of bad emotions I was allowed to express.
If I may interject real quick.
Yep.
So, one very clear stance from both of us and Tran. You are allowed to have emotions. Just because you're a child does not mean that they are any less valid. Go ahead and have them. Like, the parent's place isn't to teach you not to have emotions, it's to teach you how to have them. Like, oh, you're having anger? Good. Let me teach you how to handle it. That way you don't lash out at other people for no reason. Let me teach you how to direct it. That way it's your anger that you control and you have a right to use how you want. And 3, let me teach you how, whenever you can't use that anger in the way you want to, because it's not possible or some other reason, how you can take that anger and you can transform it into something else that can still allow you to get something out of it. They're your emotions. You have a right to have them. Period. And something that my parents did, and I actually want to see if your parents did that as well. Whenever you would go to your room and you would cry and stuff like that, would they occasionally come in, basically invade your space and be like, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. There's no reason for X.
Oh yeah, all the time.
That's stupid. Don't do that.
And like, when I like say like I was allowed to cry alone in my room, that was only if they were like about to go to bed. If they were like downstairs and couldn't hear me, they could know I was crying all they wanted, but if they could hear me, that was the intervening point, in which it was not, what's going on? Talk to me. It was, you're overreacting. This is not the response you should have.
Which is stupid.
Just stupid. Because like, you're saying I can't have this response, but then you're denying every other response I could have. What am I supposed to be able to do? Where am I supposed to put these emotions? Because I can't keep them inside in this little... I can't keep them in like my... I used to use this metaphor of like a cup. I have a cup and all of my emotions go in it. And if that cup is full, it's got to tip over and all of it's got to pour out. Because it cannot go back to being upright if there's still stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just, like, a small thing would happen, but it would be this straw that broke the camel's back, and I would just be sobbing inconsolably for 2 hours. They didn't like that. They especially did not like that.
I'm gonna be right back. I am super thirsty.
Okay. I'm gonna keep yelling. Sorry.
You're okay.
Yes, emotional abuse is way too common, and honestly, like, there's, like, being in the South, especially, because, like, we're not deep South, we're like the upper north half of Arkansas, where it's, like, South, mostly. Where it's, like, we're in the Bible Belt, obviously, there's a lot of Christians here, but, being in the South, there's a lot of, like, there is a lot of very passive aggressiveness that we're trained into. There's a lot of emotional, like if y'all have ever heard the Miranda Lambert song Mama's Broken Heart, that is that, where it's like you're not allowed to express anger, you're not allowed to express regret, you're not allowed to express grief unless it's in a very controlled and regimented way. Like, you're allowed to quietly sit in the back with a veil over your face as one tear flows from your eyes, but you're not allowed to cry and sob and, you're not allowed to, go write in your journal about how angry you are. I just straight up never had a journal because, I'd never heard of, a person having a journal or diary or anything like that where it was not read by a parent, where it was not, the privacy was not invaded. Because, the South is really, really bad about that, too. Just the no privacy, no emotional expressions allowed. A lot of it is, especially, the upper mid-class Southerners still think of themselves, Americans as general think of themselves as, I can't remember who coined the phrase, but temporarily disgraced millionaires. That's how a lot of people in the South depict themselves. But it is a lot worse for people specifically upper middle class in the South because there's this sense of we should be aristocratic. We come from some sort of aristocratic stock, even though we don't. My family all came from very poor backgrounds and happened to luck into a decent upper middle class living. So, yes, it is super full of passive
It is.
aggressiveness.
And I've learned that there are two kinds of Southerners. There's the kind of Southerner that is really freaking good, which is the kind I aspire to be, which is where I will love and help everyone, and, oh, you're a new person, come have dinner with me, come sit at my table. And...
You muted? Uh-oh.
It says that we're coming in over here. That's weird. Yeah, our microphone says that it's picking up stuff and transmitting. I'm not sure. Are you muted?
Yeah, it happens. Oh no.
Stop bullying the baby.
She's like, but I'm the baby.
You haven't been the baby for nearly 4 or 5 years. Lord. But yeah, I try to be the Southerner where it's like, my home is open to everyone. Oh, you're okay.
Glad
Don't
you got it
worry
fixed.
about it.
Glad you got it fixed.
Right? I want my home to be open to everyone. I don't know you, you're new, stuff like that. Come have dinner with me. Come let me know you. Come know me. You know, I want to be your neighbor. I want you to be mine. But God so fucking help you if you hurt my neighbors, if you hurt my children, or if you do anything that prevents those that I love and care about from being able to live their life peacefully.
Then the fisticuffs happen.
Then the fisticuffs happen. On the other hand, a lot of Southerners think that they are like that, when really it is, oh, I'm a racist, stupid POS who thinks all this stupid bullcrap, and if you're different than me, then you need to leave because X reasons and you're ruining the South and blah, blah, blah. Those people are stupid.
It's like, I have relatives who are like the sweetest people you'd ever meet until they find out like somebody's not straight or not cis.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're assholes.
Yep.
Excuse my language.
And it's stupid. Whenever I was a kid, and some of you know about my backstory, I was raised in an evangelical cult, and I will not call it anything else. It was a cult.
It's not a church, it is a cult.
It is. And part of the new mindset they put into me, because they were hard on giving me a personality. I did not have the chance to develop my own. Whenever I got removed from the cult, I actually had to work with therapists to create a personality for myself. Because I had those parts of my life where I would have had these key moments of personal development were usurped by my family to make sure that I developed in a way that was good for their viewpoints. And it has taken me a very long time to get to the point where I can really feel, because for the longest time, any emotion, if it got too intense, would just cause me to become numb and have a crash. Like, I could be really, really happy, and suddenly I would just be completely numb. I could be excited for something, and then boom, numb. So everything had to be at, like, here's baseline numb, here's where everything was allowed to be. If it went above that, like, oh wow, I just met this person, I'm suddenly super... Nope, never mind. Right?
Is, I think, a form of dissociation.
It is.
Yeah. I had a big problem with that, like, though, for negative emotions, because, like, I was usually allowed to express positive emotions.
Mm-hmm.
There's, some issues with that, too, but it was mostly, like, if I got more than, that was rude level of upset, like, I would cry, for like an hour and then like feel nothing for like 2 days.
right? I'm sure you remember stuff in high school of like, oh, we're hanging out, we're having a good time, and then suddenly, oh shit, where's Bren? Because like I would go numb and I would go and hide because that was what was in my brain is this is wrong. I shouldn't be doing this. I need to go to church. I need to go pray. I need to X. And I felt terrible. And it sucked. Especially because I got a lot of happiness from things like being called ma'am and being treated like a woman. And for so many years, I dealt with a lot of shame because online, I had convinced all of my friends and everyone that I was a girl, which I am. But at the time, I wasn't living as one. And so in my head, it's like, oh, I've been lying to all these people. What about when they find out? And that sucked. It was terrible. And I think that's a good segue to coming out. So, we have a member on the server. I think her name is Luna. Yes, it's Luna. Who is talking about coming out and how hard it is, and whenever people come out for you and out you, even to people that are very accepting and open. So we're almost at the 1 hour mark, but I really need to cover this because I want Luna and other people here to see this.
It's a very important part of the conversation.
It is a very important part of the conversation. And there may actually be other points that we don't cover, and we may do this topic again next week. Or at least I will. I don't know if Abby works next week or not yet.
I don't know either. My boss didn't. Consistent scheduling? What's that?
Right? So, Abby. Oh, there goes my pen. Will you tell us about the first time you came out?
The first time I came out...
And I say first time because he's had to come out multiple times to the same people.
Yes.
This sucks.
Because coming out to my friends at school, easy. I just said it. And, like, I assumed they had... I never assumed they were going to be rude about it. I figured if they had issues with it, they'd deal with it.
Right? And, like, we can get over it.
Yeah. But it was my mother. Now, my family is the one I had, like, problems with. Because, very homophobic and very transphobic. Though I didn't realize how transphobic until I actually tried to come out for the first time. Because I had just started actually going to see a therapist that was specialized in gender stuff. And, the therapist wasn't pushing me to this, but it was a thought I had where I was like, I have to come out to my mother. I have to tell her. I sat her down, and I tried to tell her, and she immediately burst into tears and went with the whole, like, God made you a woman. I was like, God also made me trans, And, like, I specifically, like, responded, like, God likes to test people sometimes. And I was meaning it in the sense of, I'm being tested to stand up and be honest about myself. And go after what I want. That is what, especially at that time, that is the lesson I thought that God was trying to teach me by being trans. And I have different thoughts on this now. My religiosity has changed, even though I still believe. But, so she immediately went, I feel like he's testing me right now. And internally, I did not say this externally, I was thinking, yeah, and guess what, Mom? You're failing. And, so I tried to couch it a bit, because my gender identity is a bit weird. Because, like, I am gender fluid, but primarily masculine. I, usually like he, him pronouns, and, like, they, them is a very rare occasion. And usually it doesn't last for very long. My gender fluidity is either guy or alien fairy child. And, I tried to couch it for her by bringing that up. By bringing up the fact that I was more non-binary. Because I kind of felt like that would be easier for her to accept. Because it wouldn't necessarily require as much of a leap. it, at least in my mind, to her, and it did help her a bit, but it also then allowed her just to forget it. She decided, well, I was probably not going to ever transition, so. Because at that time, I wasn't sure if I was ever going to transition. Um,
You are valid even if you decide not to, whatever those reasons may be.
Woman or Kirby's gender. I get it. I understand. But I tried to couch it for her in that, because the original way I phrased it was, "Mom, I think I'm going to try start living as a man," and that did not do well. That did not go over well. So I let her forget, and it was a few more years before I eventually got on testosterone and all that craziness happened, and then I went back to living with my mother because our apartment lease ended and we were looking for a new place that was affordable, especially because I wasn't emotionally not in a very good place to work as much as I wanted to, or as much as I should, as much as I needed to make a living. Especially because I had to take a couple of weeks off right after my father's death because I just couldn't go to work. And then if I went too many days in a row, I would my job requires a lot of standing around not doing anything.
A lot of time to think.
Yeah, a lot of time to think. So I would just start crying at work, and that was not great. But so I lived with Mom for a while, and the arrangement was I'm not going to pay rent, but I'm going to help around the house a bit. Do some chores, do some dishes, stuff like that. And at this point, my parents didn't have a room in their house available. They live in a 4-bedroom house, and recently my grandmother moved in with them. And she's an older woman, and like my stepfather, she is a bit of a hoarder. She has a lot of stuff. So one room is where she sleeps, and one room is where it basically turned into her painting room / extra storage, because there's just no other room for it anywhere else. And that was the stuff that she wanted to keep. She got rid of a lot of stuff before she moved in with my mom and stepdad. So there wasn't a room available in the house, but Mom and James were being nice. They were like, okay, we'll find something out. And so they let me stay in their camper, which was a very nice camper. They have a really nice camper. It's a big thing. It's got it had 3 beds. It had its own bathroom. It had its own kitchen. It was great. And it was just it was basically like a tiny house. And so I lived in there and thought foolishly I would have some privacy, because it's not in the house. Mom can't just go in.
Not in the South.
Yeah, not in the South. You're not allowed to have privacy in the South. Because they had a copy of the key. I would lock the door, but they had the key, too. So if Mom wanted to go in, nothing stopped her. At one point, she says she was just looking for something. But she found my testosterone and all of the syringes and stuff, and the sharps bin. And I come home from work, and we have dinner, and then she calls me outside because she wants to have a talk. And at that point, I didn't know what the heck was going on. I'd assumed something had happened. That was what my mind immediately went to, is oh, has there been something going on in the family that I don't know about? Is David or Miles sick? Are they okay? Those are my brothers. And I go out and I sit with her. She has this little she calls it a tiki bar, but it's basically a couple of benches and a little fire pit. My mom has plenty of disposable income. Like I said, she looked into a decent upper middle class lifestyle, so she has plenty of room, money and stuff to make these interesting additions to her house. But so we're sitting under that talking, and I see the grocery bag that I keep my stuff in under her seat. And I forgot that I had the empty boxes of the testosterone in there, because usually when I'm done with the testosterone, I take out my 0.5 milliliters. You cannot use that vial twice, because it doesn't have the proper growth inhibitors. If you stabbed it once, it is no longer sterile. You can't use it again. And So I'd thought I'd thrown them all away and she just found the needles. My immediate assumption is, oh no, she's going to think I'm on drugs. And so I try to explain to her in a roundabout way, without using the word testosterone, that, oh, I'm on some medicine that is injectable. That's why I have that. And then she pulls out the box that has testosterone on it. And at the time, I thought that conversation went relatively well, aside from the fact that she was invading of my privacy. Because she didn't cry again. I didn't cry either. That was the miracle. That was the true miracle. And we had what I thought was a productive conversation about it. Until I found out she outed me to extended family that I'd never intended on telling, some of whom were openly, blatantly transphobic, and had then convinced my mother that the reason I was quote-unquote like this was because of my relationship, my poor relationship with my father when I was a child.
Or me.
Or Bryn. It was like this very much like, Bryn has talked you into it. Of course, using the dead name. Actually, I have not, I told my parents about Bryn's transition.
You have?
I haven't.
Oh, cool.
Because
I just kind of want to rock up like this one day whenever, like, I look totally different, and for them to be like, oh, it's a pleasure to meet you, and for me to be like, thanks. You sure are gonna think that in a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, I specifically have not told them about Bryn. But they're always like, Bryn is talking you into it. Bryn is leading you astray. They don't like her. They don't like her at all. That's their biggest thing, is they hate Bryn. Because Bryn enables me to take control of myself and my life. And not be under their strict control. You know how it is. Because Bryn is a friend who actually is a friend.
I just want you to be happy. I want you to live the life you want to live. I don't care what you're doing.
Right?
Want to live like a guy? Live like a guy. You want to wear weird-ass outfits? Freaking go for it, dude. I'll help you measure out the fabric.
Right?
Like, as long as you're not hurting anyone.
But somehow, my mother was convinced that Bryn was the one who made me trans. At the time, I was just like, I've been thinking and calling myself trans before I met Bryn, right?
Years ago.
Years ago. And then, like, she pivoted. That's what she always does. She pivots. When I tell her that something she does is stupid, she goes to a different point. She moves the goalposts and yada yada. All of those, all of the debate jargon. And she was like, it's because of the internet.
No.
I was like, I knew I was trans before I started getting on the internet all the time, Mother. I didn't have a smartphone until I was a senior in high school. And my interneting, like any internet I was on, was basically YouTube videos, some memes, and homework. Until I got a smartphone, and then I got a Tumblr.
Hey, Abby, do you remember those, like, cool-ass flip phones we had?
I remember the flip phones. I still, like, I think somewhere that flip phone that I had still exists, like, where it was, like, a slide-up that had a full keyboard.
I had one of those. Remember how cool everyone thought it was that I had, like, 2 different slide things?
Right? That was the epitome of cool when we were in junior high and high school.
And the best part was, that's how I learned how to do the phone spin thing, and, like, people thought it was so freaking cool. I still do that with my smartphone.
Yeah.
Can I have my smartphone?
Yeah.
Or can I have my phone? we are boomers, okay?
Canst thou pass me thine smartphone?
Okay, you wanna continue?
But, so she's like, the internet must have done it. And I was like, the internet gave me the words for it? But this is how I've been feeling since I was a kid.
That right there. The internet didn't trans my gender. It gave me the words for it, and it gave me the information I needed to make informed decisions about myself.
And, like, that was also where I kind of finally got cleared up about what some other people had told me about testosterone. And, that they were either incorrect or flat out lied about certain side effects. And the things that I'd been scared about and really worried about were either negligible at best, outright fabrications, or it's not as bad as it sounds and you can deal with it. Like, I always, like, my thing was worried about, like, cholesterol and high blood pressure. My blood pressure has always been fantastic. My cholesterol has always been fantastic. My cholesterol went up a little bit, but when I started to eat, I started eating more oatmeal. That's all I had to do, is eat more oatmeal. And eat less fats. Anna's being a weirdo. The only people that make me... Exactly. Like, I met a couple of trans people IRL, I'd known. They're both trans women. One I knew at college, I can't remember where I knew the other woman from. What's funny is the one I knew at college was a bit of a creep. But, like, that was just her personality. It had nothing to do with her being trans. But I just realized a lot of people at that age come across as creeps.
They do.
Yeah, that there's actually a thing that I'd read on Tumblr because one of the people I followed was a non-dysphoria, non-binary person who kind of like they were like, I'm autistic, so I'm not exactly sure what parts of this are apathy towards the whole thing or what parts are like, yada yada. And so ended up they, as an adult, got a lot of trans people in their DMs and stuff, like asking them questions and giving them permission to post about it. And there's one person who told the story about how they were a lesbian, or I guess she was a lesbian, and she had dated a few people who later turned out to be trans, or trans men. And part of the reason that she broke up with them was she didn't feel that spark and didn't feel attracted. So she kind of like sensed the gender on the wind without realizing it. And there was a running gag of calling her an unintentional stud finder.
I just had a realization. So, aside from my first real girlfriend, which sadly passed away at a very young age, shortly after I moved from North Carolina, each of the other women that I've dated either turned out to be lesbian or bi, and the one guy that I dated, besides douchebutt, who was also bi, also turned out to be a trans woman, who is a lesbian.
What was funny is, like, she came out first,
Yeah.
and, like, she went through a few different gender identities before, settling on trans woman. Because you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to.
And then I started my transition, and now I'm pretty sure she thinks that, like, I'm trying to copy her and chase her, which sucks. It's like, I'm not, you made me have a realization.
Last two comments. You dumb. That's not her dead name.
Right?
You dumb. That's not. Are you her family? 'Cause, like, that's not her dead name.
Right?
But it is a nickname sometimes.
That's... yeah.
No one cares.
I mean, I'm pretty open about who I am. Like, you can find...
I mean, yeah, but it's not the name she went by.
Yo, look.
That's why I said, like, that's what her family calls her.
Deadclaw.com. Wait a minute, you're the person that tried to message me on Reddit and tried to get into the freaking... Hey, yo, this is the troll I was telling y'all about!
Congrazzles.
Yo, welcome to the stream! How you doing? Like, okay, legit, before we get into trolling back and forth, like, I just want you to know, you can change, you deserve happiness, and it's okay. Okay?
But please, chill out.
Chill, like...
We weren't trying to hide it, we just don't like using the dead name.
Right?
Like, we've talked about being in Fayetteville before. we've mentioned the.
You can find selfies with my badge all over the internet. My employer knows. My employer has taken selfies with me. Like, my boss is the one that gave me this freaking dress, and I am hot, okay?
Well, it'd be even funnier if they tried to dox me.
Right? The streamer is a pedo.
Oh.
Okay, yo, anyone in Tran, if I've done anything like that, please go ahead and tell your parents and call the police. Straight out. Let's make this a thing. I'm good. Yo, an investigation could raise my clout. Like, legit. There's a grooming server. Oh, please. No, it's not.
It's invite only.
I'm gonna go ahead and block you because this is unproductive and I'd rather get back to the topic on hand. You good? You want to say something before I ban him?
Hide the truth! Screw off, my dude. Hide yourself. Like, actually, no, don't hide yourself. Look in a mirror. Look in a mirror. Stare in the mirror. Stare into your eyes. Just stare into your eyes for like 10 straight minutes.
Evie, I love you. Let's see.
If you mean that she gives grooming tips of like how to take care of your hair.
Right? My hair is freaking fabulous.
Or I have occasionally given tips on hygiene.
Hi, Anubis streaming.
That's the singles.
Down with the Tran. Fuck yeah, let's get down.
That's the single thing you could say that makes us sound cool, my guy.
Right?
I'm assuming guy, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't want to assume your gender, we're sorry.
My friend.
Okay, they're taken care of. We're great. Yo, to any trolls that come in the future, I just want you to know that, like, I grew up in a cult. I grew up in the deep south being queer as hell. You're not gonna, like, I'm past that. I got therapy. I work medical. Like, the amount of trauma I've been through is so high that anything less than that is nothing to me. On top of that, I've received so much therapy and stuff to get my mental health under control and all this other stuff that, like, it's gonna take some effort. Yo, like...
It's gonna take a lot more than a obvious troll.
You know what? I'm gonna fix this. How about, after the stream, I'm just gonna freaking link my Facebook account to the Tran. Fuck that shit.
You know what'd be funny? It'd be funnier, honestly, to me, if they tried to dox me, because I literally use my name. I don't have a dead name. I just have my name that is androgynous enough that I decided not to change it.
Right? Okay, and now he's banned. Oh, I know.
Yeah,
like,
don't worry.
Evie, I know you're joking. But, like, legit, though, if anyone on my server makes you uncomfortable, does anything like that, the mods and I got your back. And if, for whatever reason, you don't have to validate it, you don't feel comfortable coming to me or a mod, get the police involved. Get your parents involved. Like, I want you safe, I want you comfortable, and I want you happy, okay?
And for us, that means everybody on Tran is held accountable for the things they say and do.
Yeah.
And if that means accountable by the law, that means accountable by the law. If it means accountable by being mercilessly trolled by us, that means accountable by being mercilessly trolled by us.
Right?
Or banned, or whatever.
But yeah, legit, like, y'all are gonna be okay, okay? We got this, we're fine. Oh, I love y'all so much. That was fun. Okay, so yeah, my dead name was Jared Tyler. Get fucked, trolls.
Get wrecked, son. Thank you.
Yo, Anubis, I love you. We could use more straight people in Tran if you want me to send you an invite, yo.
Because, like, we don't mind...
We got two.
Like, right, we got two. We don't mind non-queer folk being part. Because,
right?
like, that's That's not what community is about. You don't like. The only people you gatekeep are the jerks.
Right?
The trolls and the jerks. Those are the only people you don't let in. You let in the cool people.
Right. So, talking about, like, all that stuff.
Exactly.
Thank you. So, yeah. As long as, my whole thing, as long as they're able to consent, I can love them, we can have some fun. Now, just a heads up to the people that are going to call me a pedo. You can't consent if you're below a certain age because you don't fully understand the consequences, nor do you have the same power level as you could to actually consent. So, yeah.
Exactly.
If you can't buy me a drink, you and I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Hi. So, let's continue this on. Would you like to continue your thing, or...
Oh, man, I don't
remember where you left off.
I have to backtrack. Oh.
While you do that, thank you, I love you.
Okay, so yeah, my mom outed me to some transphobic people, convinced it was all the internet's doing, or Bryn's doing, and all that stupid crap. All that dumbness.
I'm messaging the server about the trolls so that we can talk crap about them.
Okay, that'll be fun. But, at that point, like, for various reasons, I had to stop testosterone for a while. And, my mental health went back into the toilet. But, like...
Yo, Anubis, are you comfortable if I screenshot this and put it on the server? That way we can brag about you and talk about how freaking awesome you are? Like, I love you so much right now. Like, that other troll, like, he made my day. Or they, I should say, because I don't know their pronouns.
But, like, in the way of, like, it's fun to just counter, like, to just be like...
Right? Like, your power, you have no power here, my guy.
It's like teenage us might have been offended, or like, don't. We're adults. We're full adults who, like, have our house and jobs. We're not that, like, we're not so, like, sniveling that we're going to, like, break because some idiot online called us pedos for no reason. I was like... I have a small history of dating, not much, but, like, all of my history of dating, I've dated older people. People older than me. Bryn, like, has, like, you know, her very specific criteria. I think, like, the biggest age difference of someone you've ever dated is the other person was a lot older.
She was 15 years older than me, and she was a pedophile.
Yep.
And I ruined her life.
Yeah, Bryn has spent some time doxing pedophiles on purpose. Like, actual pedophiles, not trans people some troll is calling pedophiles. Because they don't understand that giving children information about, you know, bodies and themselves helps them become fully realized adults when they become adults. And it's not sexual to tell a child that like, these words exist. You're not going to call, like, a health education teacher a pedo because, like, they teach about, like, the liver or something.
Right. Okay, do we want to continue about...
Yeah, sorry, I immediately got back off track.
I gotta start my, like, multi-hour stream at 2 p.m. and it's 12:04.
Okay. And you've got to eat.
Yeah, and I gotta eat. Okay, see you. I'm tagging you on the server.
Remember, like, these things are going to be uploaded at some point eventually.
Yo, Anubis, I love you so much. Oh my god. Yo, we got just over 200 people in the Tran currently. If you want to partner up our Discords, yo, message me. I'd love to. We've got one partnership so far, but I'd love to make it more.
Yeah. But yeah, so my mom freaked out again because some transphobic idiot told her that it was father issues. And this happened on Christmas. I'm gonna swear because it's important. Dead ass, this happened on Christmas. Mother said she was glad my father had died. Because it meant he couldn't be a bad person anymore. I was like, at that time I was super upset, but like now I'm just like, bold words coming from the person who didn't start becoming not an awful person. Like, Dad was still kind of crappy, but like, he was intentionally making improvements and trying to be a better person. Like, it was ridiculous that she's like, or that like, especially she blamed Dad for how my older brother Miles turned out, because Miles is a sociopath. Like, no, not diagnosed officially, but my therapist, who, like, I'd never lie to my therapist, I'm as honest as possible to my therapist, has been like, he has some of those trademarks that, like, she's not, like, again, she's not diagnosing him, but she gives me tips based on the assumption that he's got some sociopathic tendencies going on. And those tips usually work. So that tells you a lot. But, Funny's mom's like, maybe he'll be a more responsible person, and he immediately got worse. Immediately got worse after Dad died. Because Dad was keeping him in check. Because, like, Dad was the only person my brother would listen to. And now, my brother listens to nobody, not even the cops. If he doesn't have another felony within the next couple of years, I'll actually be proud of him. But, like, so she's blaming all of this on a dead man for my choices, which is just immediately ridiculous. Like, it's so condescending and infantilizing to blame my dead father on the choices I, a fully realized adult, am making with my money and my time and my autonomy. It's like, it's the kind of attitude that's like, you can't get your tubes tied if you're under 35 and don't have 3 children and your husband's permission.
Which is stupid.
Which is ridiculous. And, like, a lot of trans people, like, it's easier for a trans person to get, like, a hysterectomy or get a tube ligation or something like that. But even that is a bit problematic because it's only because of, like, dumb eugenics reasons that, like, that is allowed. Because, like, again, gender dysphoria has previously been, you know, in the DSM as a mental illness, and while in some ways it can be, especially if it's affecting you a lot really hard, again, you don't have to have dysphoria to be trans, and you don't have to have the DSM, like, diagnosis to have dysphoria. Because the diagnostic criteria for dysphoria are very much different from the reality of dysphoria.
And I would like to speak now for a moment as someone who works in the medical field. Now, just a reminder, I have no degree. I do not have a bachelor's in anything. So, what I've learned from multiple years working in the hospital, working alongside people, hearing the stories of people, interacting with patients, etc. The problem with trying to make dysphoria a condition that can be diagnosed by a doctor is you then make dysphoria a condition which will need to be cured. And that is bad. There are some things that are seen as, oh, this is not something that needs to be cured. But the fact that it is something that is diagnosed instead, that changes a lot in it. So, yeah.
It's like, if you, like, things end up so pathologized. Because, like, say, we're both also autistic. And for us, like, while there have been, you know, drawbacks of being autistic, for the most part, our autism is an inherent part of us that we genuinely love. It is important to us. It is important to our sense of self. And it is also a medical or a mental diagnosis.
Yeah.
And people use that to try and angle like the we need to find a cure angle, which is ridiculous because a non-autistic version of me would not be me. I would not be the same person. I would be dead.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's the same, at least in my head, for being transgender, because that is an important part of my identity, in that, like, it informs a lot of my experiences and a lot of the things I've had to go through as a child and now as an adult. And none of these are universal, but it all requires it requires a delving into of self. Like, you have to reflect very heavily on who you are internally to realize, what's going on, what you are. And like, even if you're like, the young kind of person who is a bit I'm going to say this, like, not meanly, very much affectionately, like, kind of more lackadaisical, where you're, like, trying identities on and stuff, which is fine. That's actually great. Do that. It's great to do. But, like, if you're doing that and, like, you're still doing a lot of heavy work that, like, you don't quite realize. You are, like, peeling through layers of yourself, and you are figuring out what you like and what you don't like, and what you want to be. And for transgender individuals, I feel like that.
Go ahead and make the joke if it's a problematic joke, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, you have to have a deeper understanding of yourself than a lot of cis people do.
You do.
And because cis people, like, no disrespect, because, like, most people are cis, so they already know who they are, like, on that level, on, like, the very much, like, oh, my body and brain match up. They don't have to fight through it. They don't have to figure out, like, okay, even if it doesn't really cause you distress, like, even if it doesn't cause you that dysphoria, you kind of know that something's mismatched. That's how you figure out, oh, I want to, it's like, oh, I'm actually X instead of Y.
Yeah.
Right? Honestly, sometimes that is how it feels like, is putting on costumes until you find something that actually, like, makes something click into place.
And honestly, I know a few trans women that used Halloween as an excuse to wear women's clothing.
Like, the Halloween is really a thing in the trans community. Like, it's a very important thing, because for a lot of people, especially in unaccepting environments, especially in the South, because, again, this is, like, things I have personally seen, use Halloween as an excuse to experiment with their gender identity in a way that would not be allowed any other time of year. That would be heavily discouraged any other time of year. Because, again, like,
it can be unsafe.
It can be just unsafe.
So, I don't know how far along you are. We're at the 1 hour and 30 minute mark.
I'll let you.
I'd like to go ahead and talk about my coming out story, because it actually does go into why not make everyday Halloween kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, when I first came out to my family as non-cishet, I was 16. And I came out to my parents as pansexual. Because for me, I don't care what's in your pants. I don't care about a lot of other stuff. I find everyone attractive in some regard. And so long as you are old enough and you are capable of consenting, I will probably find you sexually attractive in some way, regardless of how ugly you might feel about your body, regardless of how non-conventionally attractive you may feel. Like, people are just kind of nice. Okay? They're very attractive. And I remember sending a text to my dad. Now, I had already gotten in trouble at school for a lot of things. Some of them being making out with guys. Or wearing skirts to school.
That ended up being a little bit too short.
I was okay with it.
I always wore mine under, over tights just in case, but,
Yeah,
Bryn didn't have tights then.
I was cute. I was also like 15, 16.
I remember there's something like a dare or something like that, and Bryn was immediately like, "Yes, I'll do it." And my jerky abusive ex also was like, "Okay, I'll do it too," but then he backed out last second, and we chased him around jokingly chased him around with a skirt. Bryn was just like, "I put the sucker on. I'm cute."
So I had gotten in trouble already for very unharmful things that are very queer. But my parents didn't know because me being the delinquent I was, I greatly kept my personal life from them. I signed so many papers using my mom's John Hancock. Yeah. I intercepted a lot of letters. So they didn't know whenever I told them, hey, I'm Pan. They didn't know about any of that, right? And I remember texting them. And my dad texted me back, hey, when I get home, we need to talk. And I came home, and my mom just refused to look at me. She refused to really talk to me. And so I went to my bedroom and I cried because I thought, oh God, I'm going to be kicked out or I'm going to be killed. Because from the way my family had raised me, that's what I expected to happen. That my family had, for as long as I remember, thank you. Because whenever I grew up, what I was taught, being in the evangelical cult that I was in, was that you are LGBT because you were either molested as a child, because you are actually a demon who has possessed a human, or because you were corrupted by a LGBT person who is themselves a demon. And my family had often made jokes about killing LGBT people, even for fun. I remember whenever I was a really little kid, my brother had made a joke where he asked me hey, are you gay? And at the time I was questioning, but I was like, no, obviously I'm not gay. And he had laughed and said, good, I don't want to have to kill you. And I was like, okay. Right? So I'm sitting there, sad, crying, because I'm thinking my parents are going to come and fuck me up. But my dad finally comes home, and he just sits in my bed, and he makes a joke out of it. And he starts to laugh, and he has his reasons. I'm not going to divulge them here, because my family might watch this in the future. But he has his reasons, and he makes a joke out of it. And he sits down on my bed, and he starts to just be like, I don't know what we're gonna do about it. I just, I'm thinking about it, and I just don't know. It seems like such a big thing. And I'm sitting there crying, thinking, oh God, it's even worse than I thought. And he turns to me and he says, I just don't know what we're gonna do about dinner. And I'm like, you motherfucker.
She comes to school the next day I have had the most eerie experience.
Right?
Help.
But yeah, my dad has actually been fairly accepting. And he accepted me outright. He said, I don't understand it. I don't need to. I love you. You're my child. And then we hugged, and I cried a lot more. That was the first time I came out, and I got so many text messages and phone calls and Facebook messages from members of the family I had not spoken to in a very long time, telling me how ashamed of me they are, how they hope I'll come back to God, how I need to come back to church, how my parents failed, how I'm being corrupted by the liberal left. And it's like, honey, I am not a liberal. Don't compare me to liberals. No. So yeah, that was the first time I came out. The second time I came out, Abby was actually with me when I came out to my parents. Now, I had already been on estrogen for a little bit, and I wrote my parents a letter detailing how I had felt for so long, how I am now, etc. Oh, that's really sweet. Thank you for doing that for them.
Excellent.
But yeah, I wrote this letter, and I have them sit down and I read it to them, and they immediately start to cry, and they start to put out those platitudes of like, oh, you're our child, we're gonna love you no matter what, etc. Since then, there has been a very large change of heart. My dad is still very, well, he's not very accepting, but
He's willing to let live.
yeah, he's willing to let live. My mom is not. And because of this, there is a very real chance I may just go ahead and cut her out of my life. Because I'm not playing that game. I've come close to death too many times, and I'm a queer living in the very conservative South. And we just had Trump for a president. Like, I'm not playing that game. If someone isn't going to respect me, I'm not going to respect them. I am not going to outright disrespect them most of the time, unless they're outright disrespecting me. But yeah, we're not going to play that game. So most of my family is accepting. They are willing to let me live my life without constantly degrading me and telling me how terrible I am. And they are willing to allow me to actually have contact with other members of my family, such as my nieces and nephews. My brother, surprisingly, has had a very huge change of heart and is very accepting for, again, his own personal reasons that I will not be making known here.
Apparently has actually started going to therapy, which is nice.
Right? So TJ, if you watch this, know that I love you. So yeah. My mom, though, she does not like my transition. And she has taken something out of Abby's mom's playbook and blames Abby for me transitioning, thinks that Abby has led me astray, has corrupted me, has manipulated me. Even though for the last several years she has viewed Abby as this leech that, yeah, I don't want to get into that. I love you.
Me too. Like, why are you paying more on the house bill, Bryn? Because Bryn makes more and I pay other bills.
Because we're adults and we gotta be realistic about shit, Mom. Why do you pay more on stuff, Mom? Does Dad hate you? No, it's that you make more than him. But yeah, my mom is very not accepting. She constantly dead names me and misgenders me. Constantly tries to get me to stop transition. Constantly makes comments about how hard it is for her. And me being me, I've stopped taking it. Like, oh, dead name, can't you see that you're sending me to an early grave?
That's like, die quieter.
That was my response. Die quieter. I got told to go home, to leave. Talk shit, I talk shit back. You want to disrespect me blatantly, I will do the same. Like, I am here because I want to be in Dad's life at this point. If you want to be in my life, which, Mom, if you see this stream, if you want to be in my life, which I hope that you do, because I am taking a lot of my personality from you, we have a lot in common. Okay?
So if you don't like anything, blame yourself. Get it.
I see someone in need, and I rush to help them. You taught me that. I want you in my life. You are not going to disrespect me.
So maybe chill, just like a little bit.
I love you. I hope that I can be there for you when you grow old, and I can help take care of you. But I am not going to be disrespected. We are not playing that game. So yeah, that was my second coming out. A large portion of my family is accepting of me, surprisingly. And I think that's due to a lot of the kids now being old enough to have an opinion and to give them shit for not accepting me. Because I was always remembered in the family as, oh, there's Tai Tai, let's go spend time with him. I constantly had a gaggle of kids around me. I was the cool aunt slash uncle, right? Like, yeah. And I miss that a lot. And a lot of these kids are now old enough to remember me and have their own opinions about me. And they are accepting. And they give crap to their parents for not accepting me. And that puts pressure on them to rethink what they've done.
Because the world moves on without you if you don't go with it.
This is a random phone call. Let's answer it together. Hi, this is Bryn. How can I help you? Hello? Okay, I guess I don't want to talk. Anyway. And the thing is that I'm not the only trans person in the family, I found out. I'm not the only LGBT person in the family, I found out. And at no point should I have to experience a young member of my family coming up to me, asking me to come with them to speak privately, only for them to cry to me, reveal to me that they are homosexual, and ask me if there's any way they can stop it, if there's any way they can fix it. Because there's nothing to fix, because there's nothing wrong with you. You are loved, and you deserve to be happy and love who you want. The way the family has treated me is not right, nor should it be normal. And so long as I'm alive, you will not be treated that way because you will always have me. I think that's going to be the end of the stream. Anubis, would you like to go ahead and tell us our story real quick? We'll let that be our closing thing. And I'll read it out to the chat. I got a Vogue.
I had to check my phone to make sure because I got a bunch of buzzes.
Same.
I need to get my pills. I got a message from Walgreens like, don't forget your prescription's ready. I was like, you never told me my prescription was ready.
Same.
Also, they didn't refill my quetiapine, or my acetazolamide, so I'm going to have to call them about it.
Damn, we're still recording. I just want you to know that way you don't say anything about your meds. You don't want people to know.
I assume most people aren't going to be able to spell it by ear. I wouldn't be able to. I'm barely able to sound it out.
So,
Terrible meds.
Anubis, do you want to send us that story? Or are you still typing it?
Probably still typing.
Probably. Do you want to go to the mall after this? Like, I don't want to show off this dress.
Yeah, I'm going to have to find a pair of pants. Shorts. I'm wearing pants, I swear. I'm wearing bottoms as shorts. I don't want to go outside in shorts, though.
Okay. So, for me, it is 12:30 p.m. After the stream, the next stream for Borderlands 2 will begin at 2:30 p.m. And it will last until 10 p.m. So that's going to be a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7.5 hour stream. There will be breaks during that stream for me to get more drink, for me to get some snacks, and probably around 7 for me to make some kind of small dinner. Because I am definitely going to eat at the mall, and that's going to take up a lot of my calories.
I could probably make you something if you want. So you could just, eat it.
I mean, I have more salad.
True. Salads are delicious. I might make myself more veggie noodles.
Ooh, do it.
I need to find that video maker.
A cool trick I've learned is to just take a giant freaking Tupperware and just make a huge thing of salad. And now, whenever I'm hungry, I can just go, open it up, get a nice veggie-filled salad, put it in a bowl, toss in some croutons, bacon bits, and vinaigrette, and boom. Super healthy freaking meal. It's awesome. I love it. Okay. So, my profession is I am a firefighter. Oh, dude, my freaking love for you right now.
The better first responders.
Well, better than cops.
Better than cops. Yeah, don't worry, that's what I meant by that. EMTs are cool too.
Thank you. I was gonna say, don't diss my homies. Don't diss the home turf. We were at a call across from a church, and a group of church people were outside, and it was Pride Week. So a parade of gay pride people were marching, and the church people started making nasty comments. So I stopped the parade, and I gave them all a hug, and then had the whole squad give them a hug. And then I looked at the church people and told them, your God says he loves all people, so they should follow in his lead and love all as well.
Exactly.
Fuck yeah.
Exactly.
Dude, I love you so much right now. Like, bro. You are awesome. You are an MVP.
Mad respect.
Okay, well, peeps, I think that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it off. I love you all. If you'd like to support what I do, you can find my Patreon in the description of my Twitch. That also helps to support the trans server, all of our outreach programs. I now have contacts with mermaids in the UK, which is freaking awesome. Is 6 inches enough? If you know how to use it, I mean...
It's perfectly filling for a sub. I meant a Subway sandwich! Oh no! Oh no! I did not mean to make that double entendre. I am so sorry. I realized what I said half a second after it came out of my mouth. If it helps, I was envisioning the sub sandwiches at Subway. I like them.
I know a large portion of our viewers are trans teens. I just want to say to those of you that are here, I am sorry for that. And I love you. We meant Subway sandwiches. That is all.
Subway sandwiches.
There is no other way to take that.
Exactly.
But yeah, if you'd like to support Tran, our outreach, the stream and stuff like that, you can find my Patreon in the description of my Twitch channel, as well as a link to my YouTube. If you would like a link to the Trans server, please feel free to reach out and talk to me about it. It is an invite-only server, except for specific links, which are floating around the internet with certain individuals because of reasons. Yeah. We love you all. Thank you very much. And the Tran Tumblr is up, so if you want to follow us on Tumblr, you can do that.
It's mostly me reblogging terrible, terrible Tumblr posts.
Once we get up to 300 members, I will be making an official trans subreddit. And we are currently working on getting a storefront launched with Tran merchandise. As it is right now, the first Tran merchandise should be going out to the 2 patrons I have, and it's super awesome. Okay? I love you all. Y'all are awesome, and please have a good day. Make sure to eat and drink, okay? Love you.
Hey, Michael. Showing up late as ever.
Oh, wait a minute. Michael.